We live in an era of great journeys. I was young, maybe 8 years old, but I still remember vividly when the first man stepped on the moon. Since then, we have journeyed to Mars with unmanned spacecraft and have gone beyond that. Just recently was reported last month that a satellite that we had launched back in 1977, Voyager 1, has now reached intergalactic space. In other words, it has gone beyond the gravitational pull of the sun. And now it is in deep space, on a journey to another solar system. You know, these examples, these accomplishments, really reflect something that is innate in the human being. We are people of the journey. Now, some of you have gone on perhaps some extended journeys. Maybe some of you have not. But we are all on a journey. We are on that journey of life. And that's the image that I want us to think about today. Sometime back in June, 13th Sunday of Ordinary Time, I think it was June 30th, chapter 9 of Luke's Gospel, Jesus determined that it was time to go to Jerusalem. And so from that time on, which scholars call the travel narratives, from chapter 9 to chapter 19, we have been on that journey with Jesus. We have followed him with his disciples along the way as they walked to Jerusalem. And while on the way, Jesus has been teaching them, sharing parables, not unlike the rabbis of that time who were, when they went on their own pilgrimage to Jerusalem, their disciples would go with them and they would teach while they walked. And that is what Jesus is doing. And we have the privilege of walking with him to Jerusalem. But now we're getting close. We have maybe 2 weeks now in the liturgical calendar. We are in chapter 18. Chapter 19 is the end of the travel narratives. Soon we will be in Jerusalem. And the church is reminding us of this. That's why the church assigns in the liturgical readings today Psalm 121. My eyes are raised to the mountains. And who shall be my help? The Lord my God is my help, who made heaven and earth. This is called one of the Psalms of Ascent. There are 15 of them, very short psalms from 120 to 134. And pilgrims during Jesus' day would memorize them by heart, and they would sing these psalms when they were on pilgrimage to Jerusalem. They are psalms that reaffirm their faith and their hope and their trust in God, because when you are on pilgrimage, you take a great risk. This one in particular says, I will lift up my eyes unto the mountains. Why? Because God dwells on the heights. God dwells on that mountain of which Jerusalem lies. And even in Jerusalem, the temple is on a hill. God dwells on Mount Zion. And so we make that journey up to the presence of God. But then while we're on that pilgrimage, on that journey, there are many obstacles and challenges and difficulties. There are robbers and bandits and brigands. There are scorpions and snakes and wild beasts. There are the elements of heat and wind, rain and cold. And there's even the risk of accident, breaking an ankle or even a leg. All of these things could be detrimental, even life-threatening. And so the pilgrims on their way, as they get ever closer, they sing these psalms. These psalms to reaffirm their faith and their hope and their trust in God, because they will not stop. They will be persistent, as our gospel reminds us. They will not grow weary until they reach the end, Jerusalem. My friends, we are on that journey as well. But for those who have no faith, it is a journey to nowhere. But for those who do have faith, not only is it a journey, it is a pilgrimage. And not only is it a pilgrimage to a place, but to the place, the heavenly Jerusalem, that place where God dwells. And we will not stop. We will not grow weary. We will not be deterred by the challenges, the difficulties, and the hardships of life. I remember when I was in college seminary during the summer, one of my parish assignments, the priest assigned me, this was in college seminary, to chip off the old paint and repaint the sister's house. It was an all-summer job. I got all the old paint off, and now I was on this tall ladder and I was starting to paint, and here comes the mailman. And we struck up a conversation. And during the conversation, I told him that I was studying to be a priest, and he said, probably with quite honesty and sincerity, "Well, what do you guys do other than on the weekend?" I felt like accidentally dropping my bucket of paint on him. I didn't do it. One of the things that we as priests that are privileged to do every day, and particularly for us who are pastors, is we have the privilege of walking with all of you on your journey of life. We have the privilege of being on that pilgrimage with you. And for many times, that is often with joy and celebration. But it also encompasses great sadness and sorrow. When I look at you, I see many stories. I see those stories of pilgrimage. And I'm thinking of some in particular right now in our own parish who are having profound difficulties and challenges in their life. Physically, spiritually, emotionally. Profound. And yet, in those times, when many would question their faith, they sing their Psalm of Ascent. They reaffirm their faith and their hope and their trust in God. Because many times, for me, when I face these things on a regular basis, and for you who face these challenges, and even to have to face death, what it does is it makes us question the deep things. We question about life, about existence, about meaning and purpose, indeed about God. And for these people, with their profound problems, they choose to sing that song of ascent, to reaffirm their faith and their hope and their trust in God. It is, in a word, inspiring. It helps me to reaffirm my faith and my hope and trust in God. We are all on this journey, my friends. We are all on this pilgrimage of life. And I pray that we will learn from that. That we will never grow weary. That we will never be satisfied anywhere along the way. That we will be persistent. That's what Jesus is teaching in the gospel. That we will keep our eyes fixed on Christ. And we will not stop until we reach that heavenly Jerusalem, that place where God dwells, that place that has been prepared for those who love Him. May the Lord then help us, with the psalmist, to raise up our eyes unto the mountains. For who is my help? My help is in the Lord my God, who made heaven and earth.